This video presents the historical development of existentialism in education together with the key thinkers and their respective contributions. Existentialism emerged in the 19th and 20th centuries as a philosophy of human freedom, individuality, and personal responsibility. It arose as a reaction against systems such as rationalism, idealism, and realism, which treated knowledge and morality as universal and predetermined. Existentialists insisted that each person must create their own meaning through authentic choices in action. In education, this translated into a focus on learners' individuality, self-awareness, and moral agency rather than conformity to external standards. Existentialist education invites students to explore who they are, what they value, and how they will live meaningfully in the world. Let's start with the father of existentialism, Søren Kierkegaard. He was a Danish philosopher and theologian, widely regarded as the father of existential philosophy. His ideas emerged in reaction to abstract rationalism and institutionalized religion, which minimized individual existence and personal meaning. Kierkegaard established the existentialist emphasis on personal authenticity and responsibility. His influence reoriented education toward the inner life and moral awakening of the learner. Kierkegaard believed that truth is subjective and that individuals must find meaning through personal choice and commitment. For him, education should encourage reflection and self-understanding, helping learners confront ethical choices and define their own existence. The next one is a German philosopher, Friedrich Nietzsche, who is known for his critiques of morality, culture, and traditional education. His work developed during a period of cultural crisis and declining faith in absolute truths, prompting a challenge to conventional, moral, and educational norms. Nietzsche gave existentialism its creative and critical dimension, urging learners to transcend mediocrity and invent their own meaning. His vision challenged education to produce independent thinkers rather than followers. He argued that individuals must create their own values through strength, creativity, and the will to power. For him, education should cultivate courage, imagination, and individuality, developing students as creators of culture and self. The next one is Karl Jaspers, a German philosopher and psychiatrist whose work bridged existential philosophy and educational thought. His ideas arose amid political instability and intellectual uncertainty in the early 20th century Europe. Jaspers restored the ethical and spiritual dimension of existential education. His work encouraged teachers to see education as an awakening of freedom and truth. Jaspers viewed human existence as a striving toward transcendence and self-realization. For him, education is a dialogical process in which teacher and student seek truth together, awakening to freedom and responsibility. We also have Martin Heidegger, another German philosopher whose work profoundly influenced existential and phenomenological traditions. His philosophy viewed in response to modern technological thinking that reduced human existence to efficiency and utility. Heidegger transformed existential thought into a phenomenological exploration of human experience. His ideas inspired reflective and holistic approaches by focusing on authentic being and self-understanding as central to learning. He emphasized being in the world, understanding existence as active engagement with life. For him, education should cultivate questioning, reflection, and awareness, guiding learners toward authentic being and understanding. We have Jean-Paul Sartre, a French philosopher, writer, and public intellectual central to modern existentialism. His ideas emerged after World War II when disillusionment and moral uncertainty demanded a philosophy centered on personal responsibility. Sartre made existentialism accessible and practical, showing that individuals are authors of their own lives. His influence encouraged education that fosters choice, accountability, and authenticity. He held that existence precedes essence, and that humans define themselves through their own actions and choices. For him, education must allow learners to make decisions, accept consequences, and create meaning in their lives. Simone de Beauvoir, a French philosopher and feminist thinker closely associated with existentialism. Her work developed in a context of entrenched gender inequality that limited individual freedom and educational opportunity. De Beauvoir brought existentialism into moral and social discourse, advocating for freedom and equality in education. Her thought helped shape gender-aware, ethical approaches to teaching. She believed that freedom is realized through action that affirms the freedom of others. For her, education should empower all learners, especially women, to think critically, resist oppression, and live authentically. Rollo May, an American psychologist who applied existential philosophy to psychotherapy and education. His contributions arose during a period of psychological and cultural disorientation in post-war society. May applied existential principles to personal development and education, emphasizing courage and creativity. His work inspired humanistic approaches that respect the learner's emotional life. He emphasized self-awareness, freedom, and the necessity of confronting life's uncertainties. For him, education should nurture personal meaning and authenticity, helping learners grow through responsibility and creative choice. Another American educational philosopher in the person of Maxine Greene, who is known for integrating existentialism with curriculum theory and the arts. Her work emerged in response to standardized and technocratic schooling that constrained individual voice and creativity. Greene bridged existential and critical pedagogy, showing that education can awaken moral imagination and social consciousness. Her legacy emphasizes learning as a creative and liberating act. She saw imagination and freedom as central to human existence and education. For her, education should help learners perceive the world as alterable and inspire them to act on their own vision. Classrooms then must become spaces for awakening, empathy, and renewal. In the present, Existentialism still endures in education through approaches that emphasize individual meaning, personal choice, and authenticity. Modern counseling programs, learner autonomy initiatives, and alternative schooling models reflect their human-centered ethos. Teachers increasingly aim to help students explore identity, purpose, and responsibility in a complex and uncertain world. Existentialism reshaped education into a deeply personal and liberating journey that honors human freedom, creativity, and moral choice. From Kierkegaard's inward reflection to Green's imaginative awakening, existentialist thinkers challenge educators to see learning as the creation of meaning. The existentialist tradition reminds us that education must help each learner become fully human. That is, free, responsible, and authentically alive in a world of endless possibility. This has been the historical development of existentialism in education. For more helpful videos in related education courses, you may subscribe to this channel. Thank you in advance.